Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I would like to welcome our luncheon address speaker, Andrea Zopp. Andrea is the president and CEO of the World Business Chicago. She leads the organization's mission of inclusive economic growth and job creation, supporting businesses and promoting Chicago as a leading global city. Prior to coming to World Business Chicago, she served as Deputy Mayor, Chief Neighborhood Development Officer for the City of Chicago. Andrea has dedicated her career to being a force of change and has extensive experience in both the public and private sectors, including the United States Attorney's Office and in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, where she was the first woman and African American to serve as the first assistant. She has held executive leadership positions at Sara Lee, Sears Holding, Exelon, and served as the president and CEO of the Chicago Urban League. Andrea has held multiple civic and business appointments and has served on the boards of Andrew Corporation and Urban Partnership Bank. She currently serves as the chair of Chicago State University Board of Trustees and is a member of the Chicago Police Board and Relativity Board of Directors. Let's all welcome Andrea Zopp.
Thanks, Christina. It's really, I'm thrilled to be with you all today, and congratulations on pulling together a fantastic event virtual. It sounds like the programming has been robust and thorough, and I'm really honored to be able to be here presenting to talk to you a little bit about what we do at World Business Chicago and helping the city grow, but also to talk about what we're planning. The city has plans and how we're working to help the city implement its plans for recovery in the post-COVID era. So if I could have them put up my first slide, and we could move to the second slide. So let's talk a little bit about World Business Chicago. Some of you may be familiar with us, but many of you may not. We are a public-private nonprofit partnership, which is a mouthful, with the City of Chicago, and we are the city's economic development organization. And our public-private piece is that we work very closely with the city on economic development efforts, and the mayor chairs our board of directors, which consists of about 89 members currently of the major corporations and businesses in the city who come together to support the city's economic development work. And we recruit companies to Chicago that want to come to Chicago to relocate. We help companies that are here grow, and we promote the city internationally. And the way we think about our work is really through local impact and global reach. We have a number of initiatives that support that work, including Think Chicago, which is our initiative focused on the tech community. We also run the city's Sister Cities program, and we have 29 sister cities around the world, and we run and manage that program, and it supports our international economic development work. And we also have a program called CASE that supports our efforts to help local businesses get procurement opportunities with large anchor institutions. We have launched a number of initiatives that have helped grow the city, including MHub and Current, which you may be familiar with. Next slide, please. So obviously the city, as the world and the country has been and the state have been incredibly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm sure all of you have had had impacts with your businesses, whether it has been had to restructure, limit your business, manage employees, send employees home. All of us have been incredibly touched and will continue to be for some time to come. We've had a number of cases here in Chicago. You see the numbers on your screen, and we've had the unemployment impacts have been significant, and some predict will continue to grow while we work our way through this recovery. But next slide, please. And some days seem very difficult as we're thinking about COVID and it impacts and some of the impacts, particularly to our businesses and our challenges and the challenges that many of you are facing. But here's what I want you to remember, and as we think about recovery for Chicago, Chicago has a long history of transformation, innovation, and reinvention. whether it is literally rebuilding the city from the ground up after the Great Chicago Fire, whether it is redirecting the Chicago River to make sure that we're not protect our water supply, and whether it is the Great Burnham Plan Daniel Burnham's plan, Make No Little Plant. We have a strong history of reinvention. We've seen much of that even in our lives. For those of you who've been in the city for a while, you look the one, and there's a picture here of Millennium Park. It's my most current example of our reinvention. When I moved to Chicago in the early 80s, and for much of my early years here, the Millennium Park was a big hole in the ground. And the business community came together along with the city to build a new iconic park that is one of the most iconic outdoor spaces on the globe and on the planet. And we came together to do that. And we're going to come together again to help rebuild the city and recover and really build on our recovery. So let's talk a little bit about what the plans are for that. Next slide, please. So the Mayor Lightfoot, back in April, pulled together a large group of civic leaders, business leaders, and across a wide variety of sectors, business and community and nonprofit leaders, to come together to think through how we organize and think about recovery. As you can see, there were over 100 members of the task force. We focused on 4 groups. And then also, Mayor, we got survey responses from across the city and input from people across the city. The work of the task force had a regional focus as well, so we weren't just focused on the city, recognizing that our recovery is going to be not just Chicago, but in the region. So we had representatives from many of the collar counties and towns around Chicago as well. And then we had 4 working groups that focused on economic stimulus, regional coordinating, marketing and business governance, and mental and emotional health. And we felt that was very important as well, because the fact is that, as we all know, there are impacts to mental and emotional health from this crisis, and we have to address those issues if we're going to really have a full recovery. When we issued the Task Force Recovery Report in July of this year, we were the first major city in the country to put together a comprehensive report. Next slide, please. The recommendations, are a number of recommendations under that report, and they come into 6 buckets, as you can see on the screen. Addressing new and old traumas, so really thinking through some of the real challenges that we had even before the pandemic. Expanding economic opportunity, quality employment, and financial security. And really that's focused on making sure that we are impacting and bringing expanded economic opportunity across our city. As many of you know, we have issues with inequality in Chicago, and the mayor and the members of the task force really viewed this report as an opportunity to address some of that inequality and to put plans in place to help improve that and create expanded opportunity. Build on our region's strengths, and that's what I'm going to focus on in just a minute. Capture opportunities created by COVID. There are some economic opportunities that we can focus on and work on. Reignite activity throughout Chicago by telling our story. One of the challenges we have in Chicago is that we don't do a great job telling our story both in Chicago but also externally, and we want to improve that. And also to accelerate investments into the neighborhoods to improve into our city. So those really were the 6 buckets of initiatives, and that we're now working on implementation. And World Business Chicago is involved, as well as the city and agencies, organizations across the city. Next slide, please. So, not surprisingly, in thinking through recovery, we wanted to focus on our strengths, some of our high growth areas, and the areas where we think Chicago has an advantage and a strong opportunity. And from one of our biggest strengths in Chicago is that we have an incredibly diverse economy. No one sector is responsible for more than 14% of our whole total GDP. And that is a real strength, we believe, because it means that we have a number of levers we can pull when we are thinking about recovery and growth. So the sectors that the task force recommendations focus on are healthcare and life sciences, TD&L, manufacturing, and also innovation. We have a strong innovation economy, and I think all of you know, innovation is really, it's not just a sector. Every company is an innovation company and has some tech in their work and in their space, and we have a lot of opportunity for growth there. We also have strengths in talent, and also in our diversity and in our neighborhood. So I'll talk about all of these briefly. Next slide, please. So healthcare and life sciences, we have actually one of the strongest healthcare and life sciences in regions in the country. We have the largest urban medical district in the IMD, the Illinois Medical District here in the country. We also have we're ranked as a life sciences, top 10 life sciences market by CBRE. We are a place where talent wants to come. I'm going to talk a little bit more about talent in a little bit, but we are a place where talent wants to come. And we have a number of new lab developments that will support growth in the life sciences sector, both in Lincoln Yards. One of their newest buildings is going to be a life sciences focused building. There's a development happening also in Fulton Market and also in the former Michael Reese site as well. So a number of developers recognizing that this is not only as a growth space, but a growth space for Chicago. We also have one of the strongest life sciences incubators in the country here with Matter at Matter Health. That is growing and incubating, and also a life sciences company, but also connecting them to bigger pharmaceuticals and bio equipment manufacturers so that they can connect and we can monetize some of that technology as well. So a strong sector for growth that we are focusing on here. Next slide, please. The next sector is transportation, distribution, and logistics. And so we are, and as not surprisingly, we are centered in the country, incredibly connected. But I think people don't really realize, in addition to our airports and their ability to get anywhere in the world in relatively short periods of time, we are also a center for railroad distribution as well. And so we also have 24 of the top 25 logistics providers here, and we have the second largest. We are the second largest in terms of TD&L employer in terms of our region in the country. We also have the third largest intermodal system, whether it's our rail hub, O'Hare Airport, and O'Hare combined. So prior to COVID, pre-COVID, the TD&L sector had employed over 152,000 people, contributing over $25 billion to our region's GDP. We are the top 10 TDL employment clusters. And the other great thing about the TD&L sector for our city is that those clusters are spread out throughout the city. So it's not surprisingly, not just a central business district. So it can creates jobs and opportunity across the city, which is really important. We are also currently incubating a smart city transportation test bed in Fulton Market. And the reason that that's important is because as the technology advances, creating a space where technology can be tested and better connected to the actual businesses that are working, and to make sure that companies can come and test in a large space their technology that they're planning is critically important to drawing businesses here. And there are not many cities that can compete both in terms of the number of companies, but also the opportunity to grow that test bed. So we're very excited about it. Next slide, please. Not surprisingly, manufacturing is another sector that is a great strength for Chicago, as many of you know. We have the highest number of manufacturing businesses in the country here, but it is also a sector that is set to grow. Post-COVID, the number of manufacturing companies that said that they were considering relocating manufacturing operations back to the U.S. grew from 10% to 64%. So we think there's real post-COVID opportunity here. We have a long history of excellence in manufacturing, whether it's just in the region, whether it's in the state, when you think about Caterpillar and Deere, but also right here in Chicago when you think about the Ford manufacturing plant, where you may remember that just last year, Ford increased its investments in that plant and expanded operations there invested over close to $1 billion in expanding operations there, and are continuing to run regular shifts there. Manufacturing accounts for about 12% of our GDP here in Illinois, and is also, and when you're thinking about how we address and creating economic opportunity, is a tremendous space for creating jobs. We also have here in Chicago, as part of our city colleges system, Richard J. Daley College, which is an advanced manufacturing school that's connected to a number of businesses. We also have MXD, which is an advanced manufacturing center, works with a number of companies to help with them develop their advanced manufacturing competencies and projects. And then we also have MHub, which is a nationally recognized manufacturing innovation center. And MHub just announced its impact fund, which they will use. It's going to hope to raise over $15 million that will be used to create investments in startups in the manufacturing sector. And so, again, a space where not only do we have a long history and great strengths, but a lot of innovation and opportunity for growth that we think will help us to continue to attract companies here, and equally important, help the companies that are here grow. Next slide, please. So the last really important growth sector is our tech and innovation sector. We've been ranked, as you can see, some of the high-level rankings here on your screen. Number one, U.S. Tech, top tech spot. We're top 10 cities for tech degree graduates. And we have, and as many of you know, think about fintech and the importance and growing importance of fintech. Our futures exchanges are critically important there. We are also, and when you're also thinking about as expanding opportunity, we are the #1 city for women-led startups in the country. We have a lot of R&D happening here. We also have the #1 incubator innovation space in the world in 1871. Next slide, please. Oops, sorry, I advanced just a little too soon. So let me just, we can stay on this slide, and I'll just want to talk just a little bit more about our tech sector. One of the other things that's great about our tech sector is it is incredibly diverse. So whether it is fintech or cybersecurity, we have a lot of strength and space. And we talked a little bit about life sciences earlier. Again, a real strength. We are not just one sector or one part of the tech innovation space. We also have a lot of work happening in IoT, or the innovation of things, with a strong IoT space in the merchandise mart as well. So again, an area that we all know is going to grow, but we think is also we have a lot of opportunity to expand Chicago's presence as a tech and innovation hub. So let's talk now about one of our other great strengths, and that's our workforce. and talent. We just have a deep, wide talent supply here existing, but also here and growing because of our incredible educational institutions. Can move slides forward. Or next slide. Sorry. Thank you. We have incredible, great schools that produce great talent. So whether it's the #2 business school, #2 level, most MBAs, we have engineers, we have a high number of IT graduates, and we have been continuing a place where people, students, young people want to come. And so what we tell companies when we're talking to them about why Chicago's strength is that now, and why companies who have come here have told us that they've come, because not only can they get access to talent, a wide range of talent, but also they can get access to diverse talent. Next slide, please. And as you can see, we have an incredible number of high institutions that are producing college talent and high-level talent and degrees. We also have one of the highest educated workforces in the country, with close to 35% of our population having college degrees, which is amongst the highest of all our competitor cities in the United States. Next slide, please. And I mentioned diversity, and that is a really employers, and many of you are employers, and you know that many of the companies we talk to, they're looking to not only develop talent and have access to talent, but they want to have diverse talent. And so not only do we have that population here and diversity in our city, but we also that provides a great place for when you're bringing talent here. We have incredibly rich assets and opportune places for people to live, work, and thrive here in Chicago. So as you know, we have 77 neighborhoods. We attract talent from around the world. We are a welcoming city. Over 500,000 of our residents are foreign born, over 150 languages spoken. So this is a place we like to say that anybody, everyone can feel at home. Next slide, please. So I want to take a minute to talk about the mayor's efforts to improve our neighborhoods and our communities, and also really to make sure that we are not a tale of two cities, a thriving downtown business district and north side as part of our recovery. But we use this moment in time where we're going to have to rebuild in so many ways, that we use it to think about make sure that we are focusing on communities that have been underinvested in. So last fall, pre-COVID, the mayor announced her the city's Invest Southwest initiative. They identified 10 neighborhoods, and you see them on your screen. And the city committed a total of about $750 million from city-led dollars, and that includes city investments in street work and parks and other investments that the city was going to make, but also includes tip dollars to drive investment as well. And just 2 weeks ago, the city released the first of 3 RFPs to developers for 3 of the communities: Englewood, Auburn, Gresham, and Austin. They have commercial corridors at each of those neighborhoods that they're looking to drive investment to and to build, which we think if you have strong commercial corridors, that will help drive, bring more residents into the communities, and also help create jobs, obviously, in those communities. And so the city released the first of those 3 RFPs for developers to respond to, and we're excited about what we see as the initial response. Next slide, please. And then the next thing I just want to touch base on is small businesses. A big part of the effort in recovery is the small business community. It's not just the central business district. It's not just the larger businesses. It's the small businesses as well, or smaller businesses that many of you run. There is one of the initiatives in the task force is growing the strongest small business and medium business community in the country. And we know that many of these small businesses have been heavily impacted by COVID. And so the city and the WBC, as well as the city, are focused on, along with the city's Bureau of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, are focused on how do we create strategies to help small businesses and also promote those that are in the neighborhoods and drive energy and traffic to those neighborhoods. One of the initiatives that we have at World Business Chicago is Shy Biz Hub. And Shy Biz Hub is a digital platform that you can go to that provides it's free and provides information to all kinds of information to small businesses to help them whether, with whatever they need, whether we just opened a platform on access to capital, so it'll help businesses with access to capital. During COVID, we've had all kinds of webinars. We had a lot of information out on PPE in the very beginning and the disaster loans that were available through the SBA. We are doing webinars now. We just did a webinar on site selection and trying to figure out where to put your business when you're thinking about growing or expanding your business. So all kinds of information available, all of it free, and all of it on one site so that you don't have to spend hours Googling stuff to find information. And that's just one of the tools that we're working with the city to develop and grow to support small businesses as we get through this pandemic. Next slide, please. So, it is one of the things that I want to leave you with is as we think about recovery and the city, because I think oftentimes you hear because we often hear in the media only the negative, the challenges that we're facing, and there's no question that we, like every city in the country, are facing real challenges. There is a story on the front page of the New York Times today about the office workers not returning to their office spaces. And as you might imagine, for a city like New York, what a real challenge that is for New York. So we are not alone in terms of facing challenges in Chicago. But what I hope you leave this talk with is knowing that we have a plan to focus on recovery, and that we have a lot of strengths to help us build on recovery, to recruit companies here. There are a lot of reasons why companies still want to be here. And I know some people are thinking that cities are not the place to be, but we know that there are a lot of young people who still want to live in the city, still want to come here, and that there are a lot of reasons for companies to be in Chicago. And one other thing that I talk to companies about when they look at kind of is leadership and how we're run, and I talk about our COVID response. Our city's COVID response was well done. While we've had a lot of cases, we have managed those cases. We've never had our hospitals overrun. We've never run out of materials, and we're continuing to stay focused to make sure that we don't see spikes that are even more disruptive. And so I think we have people who are coming together to build the recovery plan. We have a plan that is thinking about also addressing, as I've talked about, inequities, and using this moment in time to have Chicago come back, have us come back to get better together than we were. But what I want to leave you with is that Chicago is still thriving. Companies are still coming here. Just recently, the Department of Defense announced the Department of Defense is opening up 5 quantum research centers across the country to be focused of doing quantum-based research, which is a new wave of innovation that's going to be critically important, not just in all levels, not just for government, but certainly for business. They're opening 5 across the United States. 2 of them are in Chicago, in the Chicago region, with Argonne and having a senior moment. But 2 of them are here, and working closely with the University of Chicago. We've got a number of new technology companies, new cold, high-low technologies, pharmaceutical companies coming here, which is part of that life sciences sector. and Amazon growing here as well. But we're also growing our creative sector. And one of the things that we don't want to forget about in Chicago, and what I really want to close with, is recognizing that we are a cultural center. And if any sector that has been challenged here, in addition to the tourism, hospitality and tourism, it has been the arts and cultural and live performance sector that has been really challenged. And you know, one of the things that was a real strength of Chicago's is our incredible creative community and our performing arts community, whether it's theater, whether it's music, live music. It is an incredible city for the arts. And we're going to continue to thrive and grow here when we, both live virtually as we're doing this meeting, but when we get back to live performances, this is the city this is going to be a real strength for us. And I want to leave you with a video prepared by many members of our performing arts creative community that are coming together to show their love for this city. And that is another thing that is a great strength for us. Our residents and our people here love the city and are committed to its growth in now and in the future. And so I'm going to share with you this video from the arts and performing arts community. I hope that you enjoy it. I also hope at the end you'll consider making a donation to support them as we get through this, as they need our support as we get through this pandemic. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope the rest of your meeting is fantastic. And I would ask the producers to roll the video.